Your attention, please.
Remain seated, please.
This is a DisneyAvenue.com production.
Permanecer sentados.
Get ready to experience the magic.
It came about when my daughters were very young, and Saturday was always Daddy's Day with the two daughters. So we'd start out and try to go someplace with, different things, and I take them to the merry-go-round, and I took them different places, and as I'd sit there while they rode the merry-go-round, did all these things, sit on a bench, eating peanuts, I felt that there should be something built, some kind of an amusement enterprise built where that the parents and the children could have fun together.
Disney's first notion was a little park across the street from his Burbank studio.
He thought about creating something on his back lot at the studio, maybe his miniature railroad, the Carrollwood Pacific. As he kept dreaming, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
The telephone rang, and it was Walt. And he said, "Hi, Herbie." He said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm working on my circus paintings." And he said, "Well, could you come over and see me?" And I said, "Where are you?" And he said, "Well, I'm at the studio." And I said, "Are you working on Saturday?" And he said, "Yes." He said, "I can work on Saturday or Sunday or anything I want. This is my studio." And of course it was. So I was curious why Walt wanted to see me. And he said, "Herbie," he said, "I'm going to do an amusement park." I said, "Well, now, what do you want to talk to me about?" And he said, "Well, Herbie," he said, "my brother Roy has got to go to New York on Monday. He's got to fly to New York. We need $17 million to start this project. Roy's got to take this stuff back and show them what this is going to look like." And so I got excited, and I said, "Well, gee," I said, "I'd like to see it, too." And he said, "You're going to do it."
For the next 48 hours, Herb and Walt slaved over the first design of Disneyland. Their hard work paid off. Ryman's drawings sold the banker. Herb Ryman, too, was a movie sketch artist who specialized in exotic settings.
Since 1932, I had worked at Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. I was the only artist in the art department, and I did the story development for The Tale of Two Cities, Anna Karenina, The Good Earth. I was not a stranger to doing quick sketches. We reduced the scale because the miniaturization of the buildings lends another dimension to fantasy. And so there's nothing on the second floors of the buildings because they're too small. Main Street represented the nostalgia of Americana. And of course, since Walt was a boy in Missouri and Chicago, to him, the small town in this Midwest was Americana.
Straight ahead lies the heartline of America, an old-fashioned Main Street. At this time, Little Main Street was still the most important spot in the nation, combining the color of frontier days with the oncoming excitement of the new 20th century. Now, at the foot of Main Street, about where you're sitting, is the plaza. The plaza, or the hub, is the heart of Disneyland.
You know, he said, when I was in Europe, when I've been studying this thing, he said, one of the great problems about amusement parks, any kind of a park, is that people, they get exhausted walking. Now, he said, I want to have these radiating spokes from the hub so that people that are tired or sick or old, or they can say, well, you kids run on ahead. We'll meet you here in 45 minutes. And there again was the secret of Walt's amazing concept of entertainment. He knew that people had to be comfortable. I said, I'll work on this thing as long as it's interesting and exciting. And I said, when it ceases to be interesting, I'll go back to my work. And Walt said, and I remember very well, he said, well, Herbie, he said, I'll try to make it interesting. And of course he did.
And so that weekend, that Saturday and Sunday, it was just Herb and Walt working away on this. Now, they already had a basic design that had been created by Marvin Davis. So using that as the basis, Herb used his imagination. Sunday night, they literally just collapsed from exhaustion, and Marvin Davis and Dick Irvine, who later became the very first president of WED, came in with colored pencils and colored in some of the things that had been there, and Roy took that along with a several-page prospectus where Walt just made up everything that he could make up to stuff into Disneyland to take to sell to the bankers Monday morning.
I believe we can build a community that more people will talk about and come to look at than any other area in the world.
This is a DisneyAvenue.com production.